the next war boss of the Green Tide, which Phillip Grunwoldt. I'm sorry if I messed up your name, dude. I'm not articulate is what I would say. I'm not articulate. Now let me pull up the event real quick because I have it over here. Well, not yeah. Boom. I'm gonna put it right over here. Boom. And we have this event is in Germany. Yes, I might have had to pull this up. Yes, this event was in Germany. Nice to see something a little bit different. Oops. And this orc player ended up getting 6th place right here with Phillip, going 4-1 with his Green Tide. Now, this list didn't actually have on the point changes. So we have, oh, and then we have a comment right here. Aaron, shock jump jacks instead of Storm Boys. Thoughts? I would have to see the rest of your list, but what I would say is thank you for the super comment, by the way, for the 10 months for being a member. Whoa! For Aaron. What I would say is I have actually used Stormboys in units outside and detachments outside of Cult of Speed. The one thing I do like about the Stormboy Shock Jump Jacksta is that it can actually survive small arm engagements. You know, a simple one flamer isn't going to erase the unit to the point that it's irrelevant because the Shock Jump Jacksta is 7 with multiple wounds, actually has an armor save. And it can just kind of survive and go touch stuff when it actually appears and covers the distance. And there is something to be said about when you have multiple units of Storm Boys that you want to leave one on the field so it can end up just getting in the way of the enemy unit. So when I did end up taking the Shock Jump Jacksta and I took him in Dread Mob, I ended up using the Shock Jump Jacksta to jump into positions on the field where other enemy, let's say vehicles, would try to, I know we're going to just come down that lane and charge me or kill a unit, and I would preemptively take the Shock Jump Jacksta to take up that spot. Or I would jump into a corner of the battlefield where I knew the enemy wanted to bring in some Eradicators or Strategic Reserve and some other gunline units. Let's say like the Centurions we just talked about. You would Shock Jump Jacks to jump over there if you could, preemptively to stop them from coming in. So there is something to be said about bringing the Shock Jump Jacks to, but it does take that kind of idea in hindsight to want to have that kind of value. And yeah, there's something about commandos just never using them because they're such a big unit. So let's take a look at this Green Tide list because I'm a big fan of Green Tide list. So we have a Zagrot Wartsnaga, and you guys know I'm a fan of Zagrot Wartsnaga. Check out that video as well. We have a mech with brutal but cunning. 3 Painboys, which are such a premium, 80 points for a 3 wound model. Good GW. We need a 10 to 50 point decrease on that. Let's go. 3 war bosses, one with Voracious Show Off and 1 Bloodthirsty Belligerents. I do like that he has triple enhancements on this. I think they're all necessary? Not necessarily, but I do like that they're on there. Brutal but cunning is probably the least important here, but Bloodthirsty Belligerent is probably the most important. Voracious Show Off, there's something to be said about getting to those very high strength thresholds where you wish your war bosses were at all the time. And then we still found points for a Weird Void. We have 4 20-man units of Boyz. Love to see that. Yes, this is prior to the point changes, so 170 is still point change. Sorry, the points here. You can see that he has 3 Painboys, 3 war bosses, and then he's putting a Weird Boy in another one of these units to jump up the field. Followed by a Death Dread. Yes, we have a Death Dread. So he was deciding he was going to have a simple mech for this one Death Dread. And there's a chance that he actually used the mech on the kill rig. The kill rig's still a vehicle. It's not a monster. So you can still hypothetically give the kill rig +1 to hit for combat. Who would have seen that coming, right? But he has the Death Dread where he has 1 Dreadclaw and then 3 Scorchers. So that's also why it's like more likely for the kill rig or this truck, right? Because he does have a 10-man unit of flash gets and a truck where he can put a mech, have the mech jump out and give him +1 to hit. But the fact that he actually has the enhancement on this mech, on this mech, kind of shows that he was most likely out of all the things I just said within that truck because he had brutal but cunning, so he can CP farm. So that's kind of fun to think about that he was running this individual mech, putting him in a truck alongside the flash kits, jumping out, and then using the flash kits as a mobile gun platform. He has the 22 unit manu size unit of Gretchen, and then a minimum size unit of Gretchen as well. One thing I want to say here is that when we did the video, even last week, before this event even happened, and we talked about what some changes we can look at for the points. One of those changes was running a kill rig inside of your Green Tide list. With the point changes, with Boyz coming down and the kill rig coming down, you can actually see this already happening. Now it's more likely and prominent to happen. The point of the kill rig is to get these guys at different strengths. The fact that they actually have a stratagem to re-roll the wound roll on Green Tide makes it very, very appealing, alongside giving flash kids different strength thresholds. And the war boss himself, right? Your Fracious Show Off is going to get strength 14 now. That would be beautiful. So I like this list. Let's take a look at his path to victory, because I'm a big fan of the Green Tide. Shout out to our sponsors, the Baron of Dice, as they helped us do our wall tactic dice. So shout them out. Check them out in the description, 5% off in the discount, because nobody likes taxes. And shout out to Baron of Dice. They allow us to do our paint competition. So thank you very much to them. And who isn't, right? Whoa, for the green. So he goes in his first matchup with his Chaos Demons. So we have Scarbrand, Changeling, Bloodthirster, Red Unclean One with the Endlift gift for the Fort Feel No Pain, 2 Renmasters with Blood Throne, triple Nurglings. Well, no, I'm wrong. 2 Nurglings, and then a Plague Bear. 1 Flammer unit, followed by 1 brick of Blood Crushers, a 3-man unit of Blood Crushers, and another 3-man unit of Blood Crushers. This is a pressure-heavy list. If this unit does run into your boys, is doing tremendous damage, because the Renmasters can give these Blood Crushers an additional damage and additional strength. They have the volume. Scarbrand, he gives an aura. I believe it's like plus reroll ones to hit. I think it's reroll ones to hit. It's not plus 1 attack. I think that's what the actual Bloodthirster does, but he also has a Bloodthirster anyway. So either way, he's getting those those abilities on top of those Blood Crushers. How this person would use the Nurgling Swarms would be very, very important, but we don't know if they actually use them correctly in this case, right? One thing that would always catch someone off guard is the potential of flash kits for their damage to do with their lethal capability here. Boys with rerolling wounds potential here. And just you kind of at the orc player having the initiative. I would hope that the orc player went first in this matchup, because these guys can start rushing nesting dolls where they just drop down. The next turn, another guy drops in behind them. They have the ability to do uppy downy with their demons. So it's surprising how much damage they can do. Just know that the fact that you're re-rolling wounds in this detachment and kind of healing, auto-seeing them, means that if they don't get a good charge off into you and you get into them and you damage them greatly, they might not just pick your unit up in response, and then you can slowly chip down these monsters. And the Blood Crushers could as well, but I'm still in the feeling that the orc player went first, because Demons, this list particularly, has the chance to kind of just put the momentum on you as the orc player in response. So I'm very, very much under the impression, and if you do see this video, my friend, Mr. Phillip, and I'm wrong about this, let it be known in the comment, because I'm under the impression that you actually ended up going first here, as this is an easy matchup. These Blood Crushers could very much run in and crush your boy units, even with their Feel No Pains involved in that. I would say the flash shoots would actually feel really good here, as they would pick up Blood Crushers. Blood Crushers are 4 wound models, so popping lethal and sustain on them. I think there's T7 though, so the guns don't get to the threshold, but having this unit matters a lot. And like I said, having Zagra Wartsnagga, the ability to scout ahead, how they use the Nurglings, like I said, if they're actually going to infiltrate and stop Zagra. These are plays that you can't know as the person that's observing this matchup, but as you're going into this matchup, you would know what your key units are. Your unique key units are: 1 is Phillip going to be going first and using Zagra correctly, and 2 is this demon player going to be using his Nurgles correctly and getting in the way of the orc player. Is Zod, or does he end up getting in the way of Zod but end up giving the orc boys a leap pad to run up and jump on the Nurgling unit, charge up the field, take up the space, and enable the rushing nesting doll early enough in the game? So there's ways that this game could go, but both players have the tools to win. But in this case, Mr. Phillip ended up winning that one. And then he goes into his second game. So into his second game, he ends up losing this. Sorry, guys. Where he goes into, yes, the Thousand Suns. So we have Magnus, Aruman, Exalted Sorcerer, Infernal Master, Zangor's Cultist, 2 10-man units of Rubrics, 2 5-man units of Rubrics, a Vortex Beast, and a Chaos Spawn. This list did go up in points. The Cultist, I believe, the Rubrics cost more now. So just know that this is going to be more potent, not as potent, less potent, because you're going to end up losing some kind of units on here just based off the point increases. And they're going to want to keep characters. They're going to want to keep as many Rubrics as they can. So you're going to maybe lose Angors, or maybe lose Chaos Spawn, or maybe lose, some of the maybe Arcane Vortex and the Zangors with this. So just know T-Suns do come back, and T-Suns have always had the volume and the firepower potential to blow away Green Tide. They've been the Green Tide bane of their existence, and most likely will continue to be, even with the changes. Having flash hits does help this matchup. But that being said, they can just fast enough to outmaneuver you and kill you in response first. Magnus is still a butthead to deal with as well. But kill rigs do help in this as well. I do think, looking at Phillip's list, maybe if you do see this, Phillip, let us know. Do you really, really like that Death Dread? Did you really need that mech? Like, I wonder if that really was worth it overall in the points. It's just, it's like those kind of 70 more points in the Death Dread itself, and you start compounding these points together, and you're like, could I have come up with maybe more flash kits if someone owned it with another 10 of help, is what I'm wondering. Not that I'm saying you should have done it. I want to know, do you think the flash, I found so much value in more flash kits when you're dealing with kind of big bricks of stuff that you want to deliver. Having shooting combined arms helps with that, and these kind of matchups where armies want to just disrespect you and stand in front of you and do damage, but they're not necessarily durable. So if you can shoot back, it helps more. I wonder if that helps with these Green Tides, is really what I'm wondering here. But losing T-Suns, nothing surprising about that when you're playing Green Tide. The amount of damage they can just stack on you and just destroy you is unquestionable. So then Phillip in his third game ends up getting 20 points here in this one, going into Space Marines Raven Guard Strike Force Vanguard Spearhead. So props to this guy for trying to make it work. Let's take a look. But we all know a lovely fan-made list when we see one. So we have an Apothecary Biologist, Captain in Gravis Armor, and then Shrike. I will say a Captain in Gravis Armor is super fun just overall for Space Marines, right? He halves damage. He can fight pretty good. Stacking enhancements on him feels nice. We have an Assault Intercessor, a Heavy Intercessor Squad, a big brick of Aggressors, which are, they're good, but maybe too much. I don't know, not that good, not 240 points good, but I like to see them. Assault Intercessor with Jump Pack, a big brick, one Ballistus Dreadnought for 140. I feel like this guy kind of sucks, right? So it makes me feel better about Death Dread a little bit. We have a Blade Guard Veteran, a big brick there, a Gladiator Lancer, 2 of those, Inceptor Squad, 3-man unit, Infiltrators, Predator Annihilator, and then 1 Scout. Shout out to him for playing the Raven Guard attachment for his happiness. Then we have his fourth matchup where he goes into Thousand Suns again. So that must feel really good to go, hey, I'm going into Thousand Suns again. I'm going to learn from this first matchup and I'm going to win this, because we've seen he actually did win this. Keep in mind, guys, if both players would have got 10 points, that would have been a tie, right? Because that's how the scoring system works here. The fact that he ended up really just winning by 1 point, which would be to exceed 5 points in a victory, means that it was a very close game. This could have been a 6-point game, and where Phillip ended up overcoming this by that. So very happy to see him end up winning that one, learning his lessons from his first matchup in the Thousand Suns. So we have Ahriman, Exalted Sorcerers on Disc of Zeech, Infernal Master, Ragnus the Red, a 5-man unit of rubrics, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 5-man units rubrics, followed by a Thousand Sun Rhinos, 2 of those, Thousand Sun Cultist, Zangor Lion, and then a Zangor Enlighten. So it doesn't have the vehicle popping, they don't need vehicle trouncing popping. Well, I guess there's a truck and there's a kill rig, but they doesn't have the same amount long range damage potential or these small units that can kind of run around and do actions. Everything's a rubric. This is what looks more likely, which we're going to see going forward, and this is harder for them to kind of play because everything's a rubric. Is the Green Tide back on the menu? It's looking like it, and these are pre-points, right? These are pre-point changes. Someone's bringing them up, and it just looks like a lot of the stuff that's in the meta, people can't tech for everything. Right now, people are really good at killing durable, reduced damage things like Bulgrin and Titan Deathwing Knights. People are good at killing Titanic models and demons and greater demons and stuff like that, because you have to be able to deal with knights and you have to be able to deal with demons. So it's like, well, then do you just run out of things to deal with the hordes? It is matchup dependent, right? Because like we're showing here, some people just can, right? And Thousand Suns are one of them, and he just happened to play 2,000 Suns, which might be a thing for just Germany, right? I know that I would not even see 2 different Thousand Suns at some events that I go to. So it's one of those your meta sort of things. So if you know that you're not going to run into those few armies that are going to beat you up, you'll be able to take off Green Tide. I think you can definitely consider them on your menu. So then we go into his 5th matchup, where he goes into Astra Militarum, which is one of those things that if you go first and you're Green Tide, you run those guys down and you get stuck in those tank tracks so that they do not get into the mid table and you just do not let them score. We have Gaunt's Ghost, which is like this fancy shenanigan unit with a bunch of different abilities. We have Lord Sol Aliantes, a Militarum Tempestus command squad. So this guy's gonna end up acting like a missile with the 10-man unit of silence, probably. We have a platoon command squad followed by a regimental engineer, a Catachan jungle fighter unit, 1, 2, 3 of those for that scouting potential. Like, love to see that. And then a basic infantry squad. 1 unit of Adelan Rough Riders. I like that for countercharging. A Bulgren squad, followed by another Bulgren squad, and then another Bulgren squad. So we got 3 units of Bulgren making their way downtown. And like this is pre nerf, so these guys are gonna cost more points now. Hydra, we have an Ogren bodyguard, followed by Grunwoldt Dorns, 2 of those, and then 2 Scout Sentinels with a Tempestus Scion unit. So I guess they couldn't afford the 10-man unit, so just 5-man. Still deliver good damage. But does this look like this list really has all the focus fire to really run down a Green Tide? Not really sure about that, right? Especially if Green Tide goes first. One thing is the Bulgren would be kind of like annoying to deal with, but boys don't hate to be stuck there and just auto-seeing them winning on primary and still just kind of playing the rest of the field. I just love the fact that he had a Death Dread in this list. Can we just take a chance to just appreciate that I had a Death Dread with 3 Scorchers? It just cracks me up that he just fit that on the list. As I'm looking at his list and I'm like, if you made a Green Tide list in this archetype, would you keep the Death Dread? Let me know in the comments if you would you keep the Death Dread and be like, I like this list so much, I'm gonna keep the Death Dread in this Green Tide. He did have that Hydra too. Hydra's kind of like, man, there maybe guard is going to fit a couple more indirect fire weapons. I'm not sure about that. This was point changes, so can't take this list and what it is too serious because, like I said, Bulgren are going to be gone. But he ended up winning that with a 14-point win. Great job to Mr. Phillip Grunwoldt. Sorry if I messed up your name. Whoa! For the Green Tide for 4-1. As we have Zagra Wartsnaga, 1 Mac with Brutal but Cunning for CP farming. Yes, I do think he was inside the truck. The 10-man unit of flash kits. We have 3 Painboys with 3 Boar Bosses, 1 with Show Off, 1 with Bloodthirsty Belligerents, and then we have a Weird Boy as the Warlord, most likely trying to do a secret mission. We have 4 20-man units of Boys, followed by a Death Dread, 1 Claw, followed by 3 Scorchers, a Kill Rig to give these boys possibly lethal or +1 strength for that, so they can kind of go with that re-rolling wounds potential. We have a 10-man unit of flash kits because I think having some kind of firepower is definitely very, very useful, but we've seen that just having flash kits for more wounds for very similar point cost and not giving them Call the Horde feels really nice with flash kits. It's really beneficial to the boys. I love to see it. We've seen 30 of them even brought. And then a big unit of Gretchen to go with Zagra and Wartsnaga because you're playing nice. We're going to take up the field because boys are kind of slow. We're not paying for the wagons. The Zagrat's going to run up the field, take up space. So one, you're not going to get in my way. You're not going to start parking Land Raiders. You're not going to start parking Lehman Russes in the middle of the tank. Rogal Dorns, Tyrannofexes. You're not going to put these stupid things in the way. My boys are going to fill up the objectives with their OC and then slowly make you kill them all away. And I'm going to keep winning on primary. Zagrat helps you deliver that system. So I can see why would you bring them, because playing early is very, very important. Then we have the 1 small unit of Gretchen and the truck to go alongside those with those flash kits. Like I said, it's a gun platform. It's a gun mobile bunker, right? Truck's moving, the flash kits are shooting, the mech's jumping out, giving it +1, or just sitting inside the vehicle and it's just collecting CP farming. Woo woo. So shout out to Phillip. Whoa! For the 4-1 Green Tide. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!